story of how I found out that my husband was having an affair with 4 women. 2 of them were my friends, and 1 of them was my best friend. Trigger warning, as this story does contain themes of unaliving, so if that does upset you, then please scroll on. So I met my first husband in 2006. I was 20 years old, and I met him in a place called Jumping Jacks, which was in the bottom floor of a nightclub in Bolton called Icon. If you know, you know. I remember the strobe lighting being on and looking across the dance floor and just seeing the most gorgeous blue eyes and thinking, wow. I come to find out that he's a scaffolder, that everybody knows him. He's just a really friendly guy and just a good guy to be around. I really fell in love with him at the time. We moved in together, and within a year I was pregnant, and in 2008 we had our first son. He was followed by a daughter in 2010, and he was a good dad, a hands-on dad. I'm not going to slate him, but he did things that guys do when they're young. He would disappear at weekends, they go drinking, turn his phone off. But when he was there, he was a good dad. And I trusted him. I did trust him implicitly at the time. He never gave me any reason to doubt him. Quite quickly, he set up a car dealing business with his friend. And then eventually he set up a car dealing business with another friend because he wanted to break out on his own. Now, he would go out every single day, every single night, but he always told me where he was. He always came in at the time he said he would come in, and I thought he was building his business. I had no reason not to trust him. In 2012, he asked me to marry him. I was very happy. I said yes, and in 2014, we got married with our 2 children at the wedding. Again, I trusted him. He never gave me any reason not to trust him, apart from an incident maybe in 2015 where, you know, where you're borrowing someone's phone, and I was like, my phone wasn't available at the time, and I said, can I just, I think it was check the weather or something like that, and I was looking at his phone, and a message popped up, maybe off of his mum, and I looked at it, and I'd said a question as, why did your mum want this, or whatever it was, and he grabbed the phone. He went as white as a sheet, and he ran downstairs, and he shut the living room door, and I was banging on the door saying, are you cheating, what's going on? And I think he was probably deleting everything off the phone at that time. He came out and he said it was because he was arranging a surprise for me, and he didn't want me to see. Now, for whatever reason, maybe I had 2 children, we were newly married, I was young and I wanted to believe him. We moved on, and as far as I was concerned, he was trying to build his business. Again, he would come in when he said he would at night, even though he was working every night, maybe till 12, but he said that he was doing paperwork. People still want to come and see cars later on at night after they finish work, and I genuinely believe that he was working for the good of his family. In 2016, he seemed to have gone a little bit more depressed and just wasn't himself, but he had no history of mental health issues, never threatened to do anything. He just seemed a little bit down, and when I asked him why, he said that the business just wasn't doing as well as he thought it would. However, he would catch up. We come to July 2016, and it is my daughter's 6th birthday. So a few days before the birthday, we had an argument again about him going out drinking and not being available on the phone at that time, and I was just wondering what was going on, so we had a huge argument about it. On the Friday, it was my daughter's birthday, we argued again, and he ended up staying out the night. I thought he was at his friend's. On the Saturday, I'd still not heard from him. I was very annoyed because he'd not seen my daughter on her 6th birthday, and it came to bath time on the Saturday night. His friend messaged me and asked, have you heard from him? Now, he was never, ever off his phone, ever. So I checked the WhatsApp, and this was about 8 o'clock at night, and I last saw that he'd been on his phone at 10 a.m. that morning. That instantly rang alarm bells, and I don't know why. I just felt like he'd done something, and I just knew where he would have done it. I instantly got the kids out of the bath, and I told them to get in the car, and we drove straight to his garage where he sold cars. On the way, I called his business partner, and his business partner instantly said, please don't go on your own. Pick up his girlfriend at the time and take her with you. So I went and I picked her up and she came with me. When we got there, I left the children in the car and I walked down the lane, and it looked closed and it had like a hockey puck lock on the door, and I thought it was locked at the time, and I couldn't get in. So I called the police and I said, I think that my husband might be in there and I need somebody down here. They then put him as a missing person. When you call the police, they basically tier them as what kind of missing person they are, whether they need immediate attention or whether they're high risk, low risk. They put him as a middle risk because I did say that he had been struggling with work. They advised me to go home and wait for a police officer to come. So I went home with the 2 children and I waited. A police officer came and he took a statement and he asked me, could he have any other women on the go? Could he be anywhere that you don't know about? And I said, absolutely not. There is no way. He loves his family. He adores me and he would never do that to us. The police officer left and he was calling round his friends at the time, and I tried to just go to sleep, hoping that maybe he just disappeared for a bit, maybe he needed some time for himself, and yeah, I just tried to sleep as best I could, and hopefully wait for better news. At about 2 a.m. my phone rang and it was a private number, and I answered it and it was a woman, and she asked me for my husband's best friend's phone number. And I said, why do you want it? And she said, I just need it, please, can I have it? And I said, who are you? And she wouldn't say a name, and I just said, have you been seeing my husband? And she said yes. And I said, how long has it been going on? And she said, 2 years. And I said, did you know about me and my children? And she said yes. So he had been seeing her for 2 years. This began 2 months before we got married. I was absolutely devastated. I called my friend. I called my mum. Both my mum and my friend come round. Thankfully they did, because about half an hour after they both walked through the door, I got the phone call from his friend, his best friend, who said that unfortunately he had been found dead in his car dealing unit. I think I screamed and made a sound that I didn't think the human body was probably capable of making. My whole world had fallen apart in the space of an hour. I then had the policeman who dealt with the missing person case come back, and he told me that how he'd been found, and that his best friend and his friends knew about this other woman. The reason that they knew about this other woman is because his best friend was also seeing her before my husband was seeing her, and that's how my husband met her. His best friend was also my best friend's boyfriend. I then, at the age of 29, had to deal with 2 children who had just lost their dad. I had to deal with a funeral. I'd never dealt with anything like that before. And obviously your friends rally around you, and that's what they did, particularly my best friend, who again was his best friend, the guy who'd found him, his girlfriend. She was with me when we went to say goodbye. I was very scared to say goodbye to him. I was scared of what he would look like, and obviously I'd never seen anything like that before, and it took me maybe a week and a half to go, but I eventually went, and I asked her to come with me, and as I saw him I dropped to the floor crying. She was the first one who, she went over and she kissed him and she hugged him, and at the time I thought it was because she was his friend too. They used to play poker every Thursday in the pub, and I used to laugh saying my best friend is going on a date with him, and that he was taking her out on a date. And yeah, she got to say goodbye. She hugged him, kissed him, and then I came over and I hugged him and I kissed him and got to say goodbye. So this is my best friend. I relied on her for everything. There was 3 of us. I had another best friend, and it was just us 3 together. Like I said, because she was his best friend's girlfriend, we spent so much time together. and she helped me plan the funeral. She came with me to visit the priest. We picked music together of what he was going to have, and she really involved herself in that time. I remember the hearse coming round and seeing the flowers with Daddy on the day of the funeral, and obviously I was crying, I was upset, but she was really upset, and I was thinking, God, they must have been really good friends. At this point, there are rumours flying around, and I remember the first time that I'd heard this rumour, we'd gone for a few drinks, like trying to take my mind off it, and another friend that I knew said, well, this rumour's going around, and my best friend got so upset. She was really upset, and I remember saying to her, that's absolutely ridiculous. And you'd know that when I get his phone back from police, well, it's going to be in there, so there's just no way, you wouldn't be that stupid. And she was so convincing. She was like, exactly, I'm so upset that people would think this of me. At this time, the police were asking me, did I know his password? I was saying that I didn't know his password. I actually didn't, because he would change it all the time, which is another red flag, which I shouldn't have let go. But he used to say that his friends will get hold of his phone and they'll take pictures and just do silly stuff on it. This was a grown man at the time, and I believed him. I did, however, know his Apple ID and login, and I didn't want to tell the police that because I thought that that was my right, it was my property, I was next of kin, and I didn't want them wiping anything. I wanted my own answers, and I wanted to find out what happened myself. So at this time I had really complicated feelings because obviously I'd found out he'd been cheating on me, he'd been having an affair for 2 years behind my back, and I had no idea. This woman just lived on the other side of town, and I had no idea about her whatsoever. She knew everything about me and had been stalking me for 2 years, and I had no clue. When I eventually looked at her Instagram, it was exactly the same as mine. It mirrored mine in exactly the same way. She would do things that I would do, such as bake cakes, make pelmets. She'd based her entire personality on me, and I had no idea. I did, however, still give him a lovely funeral and a lovely send-off, and was still very respectful of him at that point because I did still love him. Obviously, I never got to confront him about what he'd done to me. So it was very, very complicated, mixed feelings for me. Life went on, and 3 months later, I met another man who was a whole other story. He was my saviour, everything that I needed, and I felt that I had no loyalties to my husband anymore because he'd just done me so dirty, basically. It was kind of a gift that I did. I felt that I could move on quicker. I would never have moved on had I not known what he was doing. But it was like a parting gift that he gave me in a way that made it a bit easier for me. 3 months later, I then get his phone back from the police. I turned it on, and I started scrolling through all the messages, and one of the messages that came up was from my best friend. When they were going to poker every Thursday, they were meeting up and doing things in the car behind his best friend's back and my back also. This had been going on for months. I carried on scrolling, I looked through some other messages. The next message that I found was where he'd been meeting up with a girl who was my son's friend's mum. She had done my hair for my wedding, so she was also a friend, an acquaintance, somebody who would be friendly with me, and she was also meeting up with him. Another girl was his business partner's daughter, who we had just been on a big holiday with as a big group, and her husband was also his friend, and she was also somebody that I would have considered a friend. I then messaged my best friend and just told her never to speak to me ever again, and I walked away, and she just said, I'm sorry, and that was that. And to this day, I've never ever had it out with her. I've never had closure with any of them. I've never really been able to ask them why they did that, but they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I would never do that to another woman, and I think that if you do that behind another woman's back with a man that you know is married, with a man you know has a family, has children, You are nothing but a scumbag. The betrayal and the pain that I felt was indescribable. But as sad as this is to say, it kind of gave me an out, because I think when people unalive themselves, people around them, especially their family, their friends, they look for somebody to blame. They want to have a reason. Sometimes there is no reason. And people would have blamed me had he not been doing what he was doing. I decided, though, that I was just going to move on with my life. I had 2 children to think about, and I had to remain dignified. I wasn't going to do anything that I regretted, that was going to harm myself, harm my children. I just wanted to move on with my life. And it took me a long time to forgive him for what he did. I'm now 8 years down the line, 9 years down the line, nearly 9 years, and it's taken me to now really to start processing everything that I've been through. And grief has no timeline, and people go back for grief counselling years and years later, because it doesn't hit them until years later. And like I said, because I met somebody quite quickly, we then got married, we had another child. I didn't really deal with it, and I'm only just dealing with it now. So that's my story. There is a lot more to the story, really, a lot more details that I could and probably will go into at some point. But I just hope that I can help people with this TikTok. It's taken me a long time to speak out about what I went through, and I just want to help other grieving mothers. My children are amazing, and I'd like to speak more on that and how you can help children who have been through the loss of a parent. And if you watch the whole thing, thank you for listening.
Alrighty, guys, we're back, and I wasn't recording, man. I gotta say all of this over again. First of all, let's go. We're gonna start over. Shout out to my side chicks that know how to keep their motherfucking mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew about this lady right here, and didn't nobody say a word. So shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? That's how you be a proper side chick, okay? And second, rest in peace to my boy. You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate that life got too hard for him and he unalived himself. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to him. I don't see how. I mean, I guess of course, it was business. You know what I'm saying? Going slow. Most likely, that's what I think. But he had all these hoes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he couldn't stay stimulated and couldn't stay afloat. You know what I'm saying? My heart goes out to these children who are going to be raised without a father right now. He just said, forget everything for his kids, everything. I think she said they had 2 kids, and yeah, again, man, who needs enemies when you got your friends right there who gonna sleep with your man, your best friends? You know what I'm saying? I've been hearing a lot of story times on friends sleeping with they friend's husband or they friend's mans. It's crazy. You gotta watch your man. You gotta watch your friend. You feel me? Because you just never know. Don't nothing surprise me no more, y'all. Nothing. Don't nothing surprise me. Well, I have heard a story or two that surprised me, but not no more. Now that I'm listening to these stories, some of these stories be crazy, right? But yeah, I actually had to record this over again because I had said a whole lot, but I wasn't recording. This is my second time I'm doing that today. I think I need to take a chill pill. You feel me? But I appreciate y'all and I love y'all for everything y'all have done. I mean, y'all do. Y'all continue to watch me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all know we release 2 videos a day. It's your boy Big Play Ray. I probably had more to say, but I done forgot it now. Peace.